Hello lovely folks of YouTube, Ren here. So I wanted to take this time to share one of the companion crafts that I do with wand making. Of course, I've done a video previously about making the actual wand blanks themselves, how to prepare the wood and all of that. This is usually the next step in my process. Although I do it mostly with wands, you can really do it with a lot of different things. And that is the craft of pyrography, or more commonly known as wood burning. It's called wood burning when you're actually doing it on wood, but pyrography is really just using heat or flame to make designs on any number of materials. Now for this, this is one of my tools here. This is one of multiple that I have. This is just my most basic pyrography tool. Which is currently plugged in and heating. Eventually that little tip there will get super hot, but it usually takes about 20 minutes or so to warm up. I am filming this before Yule, but you won't be seeing it until afterwards. So you can see my little Yule tree in the background and everything. The reason for that is that what I'm working on, this piece right here, is going to be a Yule gift, and I don't want to accidentally spoil it. So what I am making here is a pentacle. I'm about halfway through the process, and I wanted to do this halfway through, make this video, so that you could see not just some of the initial steps that I go through, but also what the finished product looks like. So you can see this side here is entirely finished to this pentacle. And these are wood burn designs. These will last for a long time. It's actually sort of engraved into the wood. It is textured. You can feel the texture of it because they're really burned into place instead of drawn on the surface. First step of my process when I'm doing a more complicated piece like this is to actually trace my design onto the piece that I'm working with. So you can see the actual star of the pentacle has already been traced in place, and I have other pieces that I am going to trace onto there as well. I don't always trace all my pieces. There are a lot of things that I will do freehand, particularly on the wands. It's difficult to trace something onto a piece of wood that's round and curved, and it's really hard. So I usually do those freehand, but this one I traced. The pictures that I am using here, I entirely just got off the internet. Literally just searched for what I was looking for, found something that I thought would be suitable and would work out well for tracing, resized it to an appropriate size and printed it, and now that I have my little pieces cut out, we're going to actually trace them on. Now, you can use tracing paper for this. I prefer to be even more frugal, and I have my little super slick shorthand method. Number 2 graphite pencil, and I'm literally just gonna use the pencil to color in the entire back of my design that I'm tracing. This temporarily. You may notice that I have like an old metal cookie sheet down on my table, and that is to protect my working surface from the pyrography tool, because if it slips and goes into my table, then I will be wood burning my table, and I don't want to do that. Okay, go back in the other direction as well. Coloring in very thickly with the graphite on the back of this. There we go. So now here's the key part, is positioning. I'm going to try and get a good amount of this design out of here, but not so much that it's completely overwhelming the other pieces of the design. So, and also I have to consider that I have my star already there, so I think I will do this here. I will end up losing this flower here, but that's okay. Now, to make sure that this isn't going to slip on me, this is painter's tape, but really any kind of masking tape, drafter's tape, anything that just will lift off without leaving a mark is what you want to do. I'm just going to secure this design in place for the tracing process. just going to sort of trace just the outline. I'm going to lose a lot of the fine detail of this picture, and that's okay. I can also choose to omit portions of the picture as well. Anya, you should not be here. You're gonna get burned if you stay here. My kitten, everyone. She's not much of a kitten anymore. She's about 7 or 8 months old now, but definitely has kitten energy and gets into everything. Gets into everything. Go on now. There we go. So I'm just tracing, like I said, bare outlines here. I'm going to lose some of this detail. I'm going to keep this image off to the side so I can kind of refer back and see what exactly it was that I traced. Because sometimes when you look at the image, you're like, harder to make sense of it. But also this will serve as a reference as well for where I need to fill in some of that finer detail once I come back with my wood burning tool. Let's see, I don't want to do that leaf because that's going into the star. I will do this one. I might see what portions I keep and what portions I lose. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Here we go. And you can see the outline that I traced there. And that works out well. So the reason I do all of this in pencil, of course, is I'm going to erase some of the portions that I'm not going to go over. And I'm actually going to adjust. Let me put a little more graphite on this just to be safe. Adjust this pattern because I do want to actually keep this portion here. So I'm going to move that up a little bit. I have this little flower bud. It's not really a bud, it's the cauldron, the leftover seed pod. That's the word I'm looking for. The seed pod. There we go. Let's see how that looks. Okay. Works out all right. And then this little flower, I'm actually going to move this into that empty space there. Kind of fill in this hole around the datura. So you can see you have a lot of flexibility with how you position your pattern and how you make these things. You don't necessarily have to follow the exact design that you're tracing. You can move things around as you see fit. Bit of leaf behind it as well. So let's do that. trace another leaf over here. Oops. That's actually a little darker than I needed it to be. There we go. Okay, so you can see I have just sort of the bare outline of what I'm going to fill in here. I'm going to continue to do the rest of this with the other half here, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the actual pyrography. Okay, I have finished my tracing, and you can see I've also gone over some of the lines, made it a little easier to see, so you can see my design that I'm going to woodburn. The reason I, of course, did the pentacle first and didn't complete the entire pentacle is sometimes I do have the flowers going over the star in my design. Just, it looks a little more organic that way, like they're kind of growing up through it. It's just a little design choice that I made. Pentacle, wand, these are not the only things that you're limited to. Really the only limit is your imagination. I see a lot of people who, like kitchen witches, will wood burn designs onto their wooden spoons. You could make spirit boards. You could make, you know, a little round like this. You could turn into a dowsing board for your pendulum. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. Really cool way to get really nice artwork onto your tools very inexpensively. This little wood burning tool, this is, like I said, my most inexpensive one. I got this on clearance for $5. I have a more expensive one that I got at the craft store, but even, you know, this one has interchangeable nibs on it for more design choices, but if you use a coupon you can get it for less than $20 here in the US. So I think my tool is warm enough. I have my little piece of scrap wood. I always use this to test it before I start, just to make sure that we are the right temperature. Yes, and I am getting nice, good, clean marks with it. So we are ready to begin. Now, as you can see, my design that I've traced here with the pencil, we're going to go over that with the wood burning tool. And I'm actually going to start by finishing my star here. So just very carefully, just going right over the lines. You want to go a little bit slower than you would tracing with an actual pencil or pen. And you want to give time for that tool to actually burn and work in. You may see little wisps of smoke coming up. That is normal and expected because I am burning this wood. This is going to be on the top here, so we'll keep doing this. A little cleaner. There we are. And we'll go to right there. Now there are a lot of tricks, you know, different lines and shadings you can do just based on how you hold your tool, whether you give it more of an angle or not. It's just something that comes with practice. This is not something that I just picked up and started doing immediately. I had to practice with it, but it's worthwhile practice. All right, so I'm going to start on this little part of the design down here. This is my little henbane. So this is a little trickier, and you want to be really careful not to get your hands near the nib because it will burn you faster than you would believe. sometimes I do go over a little bit. Just on the edges, those points, they can be tricky. It just is what it is. I don't kick myself over it. This is something that takes a lot of skill to get right. I'll start it this way. These little curves especially are the tricky part. Now as I'm doing this, all this heat is rising up onto this hand here. It gets hot. It gets hot. This little piece right here is basically a heat shield. It's supposed to minimize how much heat goes onto my hand, but you can only do so much. Okay, that's good enough. Alright, so now I'm actually going to refer to my picture here. Henbane has a very interesting pattern to the flowers. They have sort of like, and I'm doing this faster to make a lighter line. They sort of have like a little central veining going down this way. This one's sort of foreshortened here. Stamens here. So I'm actually just using the point of burning all the way around the spot where the stamens are. There we go. And now, whew, hot. Okay. And then just a little fine detail. Lots of little webbing here. Be improved, but again, this is a thing that takes practice. Darker than the others. But you can kind of see how I'm making the veining design on these are Henbane flowers. So now let's do a little bit of shading in the center here. So you can see if there's some shading. I'm literally just holding the tool flat and just kind of dragging across like that. Like that. not great, but it's something I'll work on. I'm sure by the time I get to this last little henbane flower here, it'll look a lot better. And in any case, there's still a lot more design to work with. So I'm going to cut this video off here, but I just wanted to just give a little brief demonstration on what I do, how I do it, and I encourage you to give it a try yourself, because it is one of my favorite ways to personalize and decorate my own personal tools. So anyway, I hope this video finds you well, and I'll see you again soon.